Hello and welcome to Loving and Leaving Clonmel. In this series, we share the stories of Clonmel natives who've moved away and are now living all over the world. We'll hear about their roots, what they miss most, and what life is like for them now. In this episode, writer Eve O'Mahony speaks to Róisín Hahessy, who moved to Brazil in 2015 and is now based in Portugal.
Tell me when we're going recording.
Right, well, I just pressed record there.
Okay.
That's me talking to Róisín Hahessy, and that's her husband Felipe's music. Róisín is an illustrator and a burgeoning writer. I'm an actress, writer, producer, and burgeoning podcaster. What do we have in common? We're both from Clonmel. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
So, my name is Róisín. I'm from Clonmel. And I'm living in Portugal the last 5 years. Actually, 5 years today. We arrived in Portugal 5 years ago today.
How did you get from Clonmel to Portugal?
It's a bit of a long story. I'll do a quick summary, and if you want to go into more detail after, we can. I left Clonmel, I think I was about 19 or 20. I went to college in Dublin. I studied animation in Dublin. And then I ended up staying in Dublin for 12 years. I met who's now my husband, my boyfriend at the time, I met Felipe in Dublin. He's from Brazil, and we moved to Brazil in 2015. We said we'd go for 1 year. We ended up staying for 6. And after a few years, I loved Brazil. It was a really nice place to live, but it was so far from Ireland and from Europe and the rest of the world. So we decided to move back in 2021, and Ireland wasn't too appealing because mainly the weather. So we started looking at lots of countries in Europe, but in the end, Portugal made so much sense between the language and a lot of different things. So we came to Portugal. We said if we don't like it, we could try somewhere else, but we loved it. And we came to the city of Porto, and we've been here since. It was a whole adventure in itself getting here. It was right in the middle of the pandemic. Well, it was 2021, so I think everyone thought the pandemic was ending, and then it was kind of finishing and coming back, and then it ended up going on for years. But when we eventually came, it was still, we had to go. We nearly got in trouble in the airport because they were like, "How did you get here from Brazil?" They weren't allowing people to fly from Brazil unless you were special circumstances, but we were basically told if you don't go, you're going to lose your ticket. So we said, let's just go. So we managed to get here. We don't know how. We got as far as Portugal, and in the airport they were a little bit annoyed with us, but they sent us into quarantine for 2 weeks. But luckily it was the Airbnb that we had booked. We didn't have to do. We were afraid of being sent to Ireland because they were doing the hotel quarantines. Do you remember? It was a €2,000 a person or something crazy. Maybe now, but it was really expensive. So we were lucky. We had our Airbnb booked here. After 2 weeks in quarantine, we looked for a place to rent long term. And we were just really lucky. We found a lovely little house for rent for a good price in a nice location. It's like a half an hour walk to the city centre, and it's right beside the river, close to the sea. So we're kind of in the middle of the city centre and the sea. And I think we were just lucky when we came, because it was pandemic times. It wasn't the real Porto. Everywhere was lovely and calm and quiet, and so we kind of thought it didn't really matter where we'd live. But so we nearly took a place at the city centre, but we're delighted now we didn't, because it's just hectic. It's just always busy, always full, especially in the summer with the tourists. So where we're living now is very local, all Portuguese people around, and we're still here 5 years later, renting the same house. So I think we kind of struck gold, and as well as soon as the pandemic not ended, but we came at a good time with price-wise and stuff. The house we're in now would be double the price. Like, the prices have shot up since we got here. And it's kind of similar to Ireland. There's not enough for the demand. There's so many Airbnbs around that there's not enough long-term rentals going as well. So I really think we were very lucky. A lot of people come to Porto and they end up moving to another city because it's just too hard to find somewhere to rent.
Can you tell me about your typical day in Porto? Do you work from home? Are you a remote worker?
I am, yeah. So I'm an illustrator. I illustrate picture books. And yeah, I work from home. All my clients, it's all done online. So really lucky like that. That allowed us as well to be able to move to Portugal, because for both me and my husband to move to a new country and both look for work would be really scary. I wouldn't be brave enough to just do that, I don't think. So it definitely made the transition easier, knowing that I had work lined up and I just needed my computer and a desk. So yeah, my typical day is just like anywhere else. That's something when I moved to Brazil first, you think everything's going to be different. But after the novelty wears off, you realise people were the same everywhere. We all live for the weekend. We look forward to our dinners at the evening, relaxing, going to work in the morning. But yeah, my typical day is just get up. I like routine as well. A lot of freelancers or illustrators even that I would be in touch with, they'll work all hours of the day, or some people work better at night or weekends. But for me, it's I really stick to a routine. It's Monday to Friday, 10 to 6. Take my lunch at 1 o'clock on the dot every day. And it's just what works for me. I can't work at night. I mean, if I had to, I could, but I just love the evenings to chill out, relax, go out, whatever. But no, I'm very much office hours, and as well, because my clients, I have an agent and she works 9 to 5. My clients would work the same, so it just makes sense to kind of stick to more normal hours. And then I take the weekends off, relax, have lots of hobbies. Not enough time in the day to do everything, but yeah.
It's lovely, because whenever I've been to Portugal, the evenings, you have people outside in the park playing. You've got children playing. You've got like everybody just hanging out in the park. It's very social.
That's something we love. Like it's living in Porto. There's always something to do, and you don't need to spend much money, to enjoy yourself. There's between the parks, just wandering around the city, having an ice cream, or just going to the beach, walking along the river. And yeah, people are very social. I think I kind of forget, but I know in Ireland, I think especially kids, you wouldn't see them out late at night as much. I know in Brazil as well, and here, like even in a restaurant, the place could be running with kids at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it's totally normal. But yeah, very social. I remember telling my Brazilian friends, like in Ireland, if someone's making a wedding invitation, often it will say like no children, and they cannot believe it. Like, actually disgusted. Oh my God. Like they would not go. He just could not say no children. Like, no, it's crazy. I don't know in Portugal if it's the same, but no, it's so funny. Yeah, kids go to everything. Even a lot of restaurants that would be, kind of aimed towards adults, they'll have a little play area for the kids, or it's everything is very family orientated.
Can you tell me about your earliest memories that you have from Clonmel?
I don't know. I don't have any really specific early memories, but I had a lovely childhood. I grew up in Morton Street, right in the centre of the town. Moved to Cherrymount when I was 12. So my earliest memories are very much in Morton Street, playing with roller skates, bicycles. We used to be allowed to go around the block, not cross the road, so just stay on the block. But yeah, it was fun. I think we had a lot more freedom back in the 80s and 90s as kids. I remember even running up and down the town, because it's in the town, but being able to run up to the shops and stuff.
Do you remember any kind of festivals? Like I remember the Fleadh Cheoil.
Yeah, I still love the Fleadh Cheoil. Yeah, because we were in the town centre as well. I remember they'd be literally playing music on our doorstep. Little bands would be set up all along the street, and we'd be outside. We'd have photos of us enjoying the music. It was great fun. I think it happened a few years in a row when I was a kid, and then I took a break. But when I was in college, I would have been probably 2021. I was in Dublin, and it came back to Clonmel for maybe 1 or 2 years, and I brought down friends from Dublin. They all stayed in my house. My mum let us all sleep on the floor, and they absolutely loved it, because a lot of people from Dublin, they never leave Dublin. I'm talking about my friends anyway. Like one of them brought down he came down with footballs and frisbees, and I was like, what are you doing with them? And he was like, but sure, don't you live in loads of fields? I was like, and I said, we live in a housing estate. And they were like, there's housing estates in Clonmel. It's like, yeah.
So what school did you go to?
I went to the Sisters of Charity. It was right around the corner from the house, so really handy. My parents didn't have to do drop-offs or anything like that. We were able to run up and down ourselves, and we'd come home for lunch every day. So yeah, that's where I was. Yeah, primary school. And then I went to the Loretto in secondary school.
Did you do art competitions in Clonmel?
Oh yeah, I was mad for the art competitions. I probably entered every competition I could enter. I always loved art. I was obsessed. I just loved drawing, and I'd say painting, not as much. I did every kind of art, painting and pastels, but always, and still is today, having a pencil in my hand is what I'm most comfortable with. But yeah, I loved art competitions. I entered a good few. I won a good few as well. Not to be bragging, but I was lucky enough. I won. I remember I won again Clinton's. I won a lovely jumper from Clinton's one year. I won a few trophies. And the best was when Super Quinn opened, they did an art competition to win a bicycle. And I didn't think I was going to win it all because I think I forgot about it. I remember leaving it till last minute, and everyone else, all the other entries I saw were very elaborate and beautiful. Like, they were so good, very detailed. And I just threw together a little apple kind of jumping up in the air with his arms and legs, smiling. And I came first. And I won the bicycle. I was delighted, a yellow bicycle. I think it was a really, my mum still reminds me of that. Remember that simplicity, but it's true. I think it really showed me that, okay, it's good, to have the skills and everything, but it's more about getting a message across, or, simplicity as well has a lot to say, can be very strong. It doesn't need to be, sometimes, of course, it's good, but not always. And it's something I illustrate books for children, so I still have a very simplistic style. So, but no, definitely it was a good kind of eye-opener that, you can have cute, the simple little illustrations, and it can say a lot.
So you were nurtured, like your talent was nurtured from like a very early age.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and my parents they always love all of us doing anything artistic, drawing, painting, music, singing. They always encourage it. So they definitely helped as well.
So can you give me a couple of books you illustrated and what they're about?
So I started animation in college, and then I went on to work in TV. I worked at TV3 for a few years, but I always missed drawing. Not always, but I got to a point where I was like, gosh, I really just would love to get back to drawing. So I decided I wanted to look into illustration as a career. I never even thought about it as a career before. And moving to Brazil actually kind of gave me the chance to start fresh. So it was only when I went to Brazil that I really started working as an illustrator. And first few years were just making a portfolio. In 2018, I signed with an agency in London, the Bright Agency, and that's when I started illustrating books straight away. So I did loads of books when I was with them. It was full on. Loved it. A great experience. I think my very first books were with Little Tiger Press in the UK, board books for babies. Then I did some for Fruta Fata in Galway. They're a lovely publisher. I'm still working with them on a series at the moment. The first book I did with them was called Beag Bídeach, written by Sive Devlin. And then we did a second book a few years later called Ganziato, which is currently being in the process of being published in English. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it'll be called Otto's Jumper. And then a lot more books. I did a lot of books with Osborne Publishing in the UK. And my most recent book is just actually launched last month with the O'Brien Press, and it's called That's It Said the Dandelion, written by Nicola Reddy. A dandelion seed fell on the soft grass. "Tell me," said she, "just what can I be?" The sun shone and the rain fell, and the dandelion began to grow. Her roots were strong and deep. "That's it," said the dandelion, "I must be a tree." Her leaves were jagged and toothy. "That's it," said the dandelion. "I must be a lion." Her woody stem grew up and up and up.
So you married a Brazilian man. Is like, of course, the cultures are different, but they're similar. Brazilians and Irish, I think, are quite
Yeah.
similar in their like attitude to life.
They are.
I feel.
They're very. I have lots of friends as well who are married to Brazilians, and I feel like, yeah, we just get on. Very similar sense of humour. I've never felt. I mean, me and Philippe, we were 25 when we met, but I never felt much difference, or having to explain things to him to understand why that was a joke, or we get each other very well. Like, I know a lot of other cultures, even closer, even European cultures often wouldn't be as similar. I think even Portuguese, I'd feel like Irish and Brazilian in a way would be much more similar sense of humour than Portuguese and Ireland, even though Portugal is much closer. Yeah. But there's definitely differences as well. I think it was more probably when I moved to Brazil, when I met Philippe as well, in 2009, there wasn't many Brazilians in Ireland as much. I think he was the first Brazilian I ever knew or ever met. I was like, oh wow, is Brazil big? I had no idea. Whereas now we know Brazilians a lot more. So when we moved to Brazil, I had been there twice on holidays, but I think it was only when I moved that I really saw the differences in culture. Like they're definitely more open. They're very family orientated. They're so social. Like, I'm very introverted. I need my own space. I love just being alone, being by myself. But most Brazilians are not at all. It's like the more the merrier. Even I have friends like living in Ireland or Portugal who's Brazilian friends. They'd have the family coming over, and it's so normal. Like, it's like that guy I know actually only recently, he had the grandparents, his parents, his aunts and uncles and a couple of cousins. They were all coming over to visit for a month, and they were all staying in his house. And his house is tiny. And like, no bother, they'd be delighted. They'd be all sleeping on the floors and they're just in their element. And I was like, I said, okay, like, you don't mind? And he said, why would you mind? And I was saying, oh, you're very different to the Irish. I was like, there's no way. Yeah, all in the one room. They love it. It's so, and they're very touchy-feely. Brazil, that's something I found a bit hard. It's always greeted with a kiss. They hug all the time. They're just they love hugging and sitting right side by side, and I rubbing your hair. So I think we're very different in that sense.
Irish people would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's wrong? Is there something on me?
But no, I definitely got used to it after a while. But it is weird. I remember, going to occasions like weddings or even a funeral once, and this is in Brazil, and you'd have to go, every single person that you would see, like, you'd have to give them a kiss on the cheeks. And yeah, it's just, for me, it's just weird, especially people I don't know, but I think I did get used to it after a while. And then it depends on different parts of Brazil. Sometimes it's one kiss on one cheek, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. In Portugal, it's 2 kisses. So now when I go back to Brazil, I start to give people 2 kisses, and then they're like, what are you doing? It's 1 kiss. It's really hard. But even here, like, often the doctors as well, they give you a little kiss on the cheek when you go in and meet them in it. Yeah, not always, it depends. But I'll always, because I'm the foreigner, I'll always let them make the first move. I'll never go give someone a kiss first. Yeah, just the cultural differences. I'm talking more about Brazil because I feel like I know the culture more in Brazil, because in Portugal, there's so many nationalities here and we're not very much immersed in the culture, if you get me. Whereas in Brazil, I was like, it was 100%. Nobody even spoke English except for Philippe. So I was totally immersed in the culture. But the Brazilians, they love the cleaning as well. Oh my God, I don't know if you're aware of that, but cleaning, like, they have days. So, like, once a week at least, it would be a full day of scrub the house from top to bottom. Furniture would be outside the front of the house, everything being washed. They'll wash their cars, they valet their own cars once a month. Absolutely everything is spotless. When I would tell them like, oh yeah, no, in Ireland we do a spring clean. They're like, what's a spring clean? What do you mean? What do you mean spring? You only clean in spring? I'm like, no, they have very, 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 very clean. And Christmas, yeah. But no, absolutely, it's so clean. And it's you go into a house, it's rare you would see a mark or dirt or anything. Everything is spotless.
Do men clean as well?
Everyone cleans, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone cleans, yeah. Definitely, it's a bit more old-fashioned in some senses. The women definitely do a lot more housework and cooking and stuff. But I think everyone just loves everything to be clean. The shoe, you rarely see a pair of runners that have a mark on them even.
Do they take their shoes off outside their house?
I think, yeah, often they do, yeah. And it's because it's so warm as well. You'd be most of the time going around in flip-flops or anyway. And again, Brazil is so big. I'm talking about specifically where I was. I was in the south, in Santa Catarina, the state. So, different parts of Brazil have different cultures as well. That was another big culture different. I was shocked when I got there because we lived with Philippe's mother for the first 2 years, and yeah, I was thinking weekends ready to relax, and it wasn't at all. It was like clean, everyone cleaning. You'd be cleaning a spotless house, like, yeah. But it's good. I learned. I definitely brought some of that back with me. Now we clean now every Saturday morning for an hour. Actually, I remember the first time I brought Philippe down to Clonmel and we went out, and it was probably O'Keefe's. I think we went to, just the town was just wild, and you'd come out at 2:00 or 2:30 in the morning, and then we went up to the Chipper on the narrow street, and we were walking by, and Philippe had never seen anything like it in his life. There was a bouncer outside, and the Chipper, it was the Mayfair, and it was so tiny, but like it was packed. Like there was probably 50 people squeezed in, and everyone trying to squeeze their way up to the counter. And we ended up going in. He just wanted to go in to experience it. So we went in and ordered, I don't know, battered sausages or something. But just crazy. And then everyone would be out in the streets eating their chips until 4:00 in the morning.
Nothing like a bag of chips at the end of the night.
No. I love the chips though. That's one of my biggest things that I miss. Obviously my mother's cooking as well. I know she's going to be listening. But yeah, you can't get a good chip like chips. Even you can get chips and burgers here, but it's fancier. You go in and it's like a burger and chips. It's not the same as just a Chipper where you go in and get a bag of chips.
And what does your husband do?
So he went to Ireland to learn English. I mean, he spoke English when we met. He's always been very good at English. But in order to get a visa, you had to study something. So he was studying English, and then he had the terms of his visa. He could only work part-time, so he could get like a full-time job. So he used to work in restaurants when we first met. He was a waiter in lots of different restaurants. And he loved that. He used to love the high energy that you need to be running around a restaurant all night. But then I think when his visa had to be renewed, he reached his limit maybe or something with the English. I'm not sure what happened, or probably because he was fluent in English, he couldn't keep studying English. So he decided to study music. He always loved music. So he did a degree in jazz performance in Dublin. I can't remember New Park was the name of the college. That was 4 years. And it was basically when he finished that, we always kind of said, oh, maybe someday we'll move to Brazil. And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. It was kind of when he's coming to the end of that, I think he kind of said, will we do it? And I was like, oh, for real? I was like, really? And then we moved to Brazil, and then he really started focusing on the music. So and even now that's what he does now. He plays lots of different instruments. He plays gigs, plays at events, different things. So yeah.
And you speak Portuguese?
I do, yeah. I learned in Brazil. But I remember I always kind of it's like, it got be so cool to learn Spanish or something more Latino. And then when I met Philippe, I was like, oh, maybe Portuguese, I could give that a go. So I tried to learn a little bit when we first met, doing apps. And I did then when we were moving to Brazil, I did maybe 6 classes in Dublin, which was actually great. It was very short. It wasn't enough at all to have conversation, but it was enough. It was great for the grammar. Just the Portuguese grammar is super complicated. I didn't even know what grammar was before I started learning Portuguese. It's not something we really learn much of in English, I think, in school, grammar. But Portuguese grammar is super complicated. So I got basics there, and I kind of thought I was half ready to go to Brazil if we got there, and I didn't understand a word for the first few months. It was really hard. But I think being thrown in the deep end, living with Philippe's family, and just people don't speak English. Where we were in the bigger cities, they do, but where we were living in a big city, but it's just they don't have many foreign people there. Maybe now it's changing a little bit, but at the time, even for them to see a foreign person, they'd be fascinated. Like, oh my God, they'd want to know everything about me. So people just didn't speak English. So I had to, if I was going into a shop, I'd have to know the basics to ask for something. Some people think you move to a foreign country and you just pick up the language easy peasy, and it's so not like that. I was always writing down new words, trying to memorize them, and just making a big effort, putting yourself in really awkward situations, going out with groups that don't speak English. I feel like it was about probably 2 or 3 years after I was there that I started to feel more comfortable with it. And then after the 6 years, when we decided to move to Brazil, I was feeling very happy with my Portuguese in Brazil. Came to Portugal and didn't understand a word that anyone was saying because they have a completely different accent. It's absolutely, I still struggle a lot more with Portuguese people than Brazilian. But yeah, no, my ears, it was like, I think it took me about 2 years here in Portugal. I remember one day saying to Philippe, I feel like everyone is suddenly speaking more clearly or something. And I think it was just my ears just suddenly just kind of got used to the accent. Learning a language, I feel like I'll always want to know to speak better. I'm always nervous going into certain situations, or phone calls are still a little bit harder, but and I'm always still learning new words or asking, how do you say this? Checking Google Translate. But no, I can totally hold conversation and do everything in Portuguese if I have to. I definitely stood out, especially my friends joked with me. I think at the beginning, you have this look about you when you're in a new country, like this innocence, you're looking around, oh, what's this, what's that? And because I remember after a couple of years there, my friends said, oh, you don't have that anymore. You look Brazilian now. I think it's just you kind of adapt to the culture and the way they move and the way they talk and everything. So I think I stood out more in that sense, that I was just different. But physically, I definitely was physically different. People knew. But I did see a few freckled faces and a few whiter skinned people there. When they would hear one thing, like if they heard us speak in English, Philippe would always try and speak Portuguese in public, because if people heard us speak in English, like literally they would kind of run over and be like, oh my God, is that English? And like, where are you from? They were just so fascinated. They'd never met a native English person before. They'd be just fascinated by that. Much more than my looks, my hair and my eyes. Yeah. That's another thing. We think we're so famous and everyone knows Ireland, but they wouldn't know exactly. Like one person asked me, what state is that? They thought it was in the United States. A lot of people, but it's a bit annoying, but yeah, one of the things most people know, that's the country where everybody drinks, even there. They don't know on a map where we are, but they know they know about that. I'd say half and half. Some people knew where it was, but not exactly. Like you'd have to kind of say it's in Europe and it's beside the UK, and then they kind of have an idea where it was. But it's so funny, like when I was living in Ireland, I'd feel like Italy or Portugal is so far away, so exotic. When I was living in Brazil, if the odd time I might meet someone from, say, Italy, I would be like, oh my God, I'm from Ireland. And we'd click off straight away. It'd feel like home.
Did you bring any object with you from Clonmel through your travels through Brazil to Portugal, or were you just like, what fits in my rucksack?
When I went to Brazil, there was one thing that I really wanted to bring, and it was massive. Now, we only had one suitcase each, but I added an extra suitcase because I wanted to bring my computer. Electronics are really expensive in Brazil, so I said I'll bring my Mac with me. But it was also an excuse to be able to bring a few years ago, my mother bought me a lovely thick fleece blanket from Clinton's in Clonmel, and I absolutely love it. I just couldn't part with it. So I used that to wrap up my computer in a suitcase and then got it over to Brazil. And it was and in Brazil, I know Brazil is roasting, so most of the year it was away in the cupboard, but also in Brazil in winter, it gets cold. So definitely got good use out of the fleece blanket. And I think my computer didn't last that long at all. But coming back to Portugal, then the fleece blanket came back, but it took up a good half of one of the suitcases, definitely. But delighted to have it here now still with me.
It's quality of Clinton's, you say?
Quality. I do. I give it a wash. I bring it off the laundrette every now and then and give it a wash, and it's like new. It's lovely.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Well done, Clinton's. Yeah. Thanks very much to Róisín and her husband, Felipe. I had a lovely time interviewing her, and I'm already planning a journey to Porto, where I'll hopefully meet up with her for a glass or two of port.
That was an episode of Loving and Leaving Clonmel, a project by the Clonmel Junction Arts Festival in partnership with the Tipperary Museum of Hidden History. It was created by Artistic Director Rebecca Lenihan with podcast consultant Siobhan McHugh and Tipperary Museum Curator Marie McMahon. Technical production is by Michael Durick, with original music composed by Eamon O'Malley. Clonmel Junction Arts Festival is principally funded by the Arts Council and Tipperary County Council.